Good morning. How are you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Not as good as you. Your team performed well last night.
Let's
Came
go.
back with down 10 in the second half. What stood out to you as the leader of this group?
Well, I thought we were able to play with a little more toughness, gave them a little bit more resistance in the second half. It was one of those games where we're coming off a tough loss. We really needed it, after Saturday, and Mississippi State really needed it. They played desperate as well, and we were able to, fortunately, win it. But I thought second half we didn't turn the ball over as much. We were a lot cleaner with the ball, a lot crisper with what we're doing. Obviously, Trey and Nas played well. Cavell was fantastic. It's just, if I'd have played Cavell more against Arkansas, we'd have won. That was my fault because when we don't have him, we just don't have. When he's not out there, we don't have the rim protection. We don't have the rebounding. There's so much he brings. He had double-double last night. So, we have to keep committing to him. Him and Nas out there just make us so big and so long. And even when we mess some things up, he covers up for a lot of mistakes that we just can't get covered up with some of the other guys. So I thought those three really, really, did a nice job and got us going and pulled us through in regulation and overtime. And Trey and Nas played with 4 fouls for a while. We're able to stay out of foul trouble and get it done.
And Coach, that's actually specifically what I wanted to ask you about, because in my mind, when you look at early season Naz Reid to where he's at right now and the growth that you've seen, like that's indicative of the growth. His awareness, the restraint, the ability to carry those 3 fouls through the second half and then carry a 4th the last minute and then all the way into overtime. I guess what's changed now that you feel like you can trust him more in that regard? Or do you feel like you can trust him more in that regard?
I've trusted him the whole time. I think he's been. I think he's been great. I mean, shoot, he's averaging 16 points a game in SEC play, shooting almost 50% from the field, over 50% from 85% from the free throw line. So I don't know what everybody expected, but that's pretty doggone good.
Yeah, I guess.
Really.
I'm not really.
I mean, I think he's played really well. I do think he's refined his game and adjusted his. To the college level, he's had to take some time to do that. But Nas is such a smart player. He knows, he has very good awareness on the court. Shoot, half the time when he messes something up, he tells me he messed it up before I can even talk to him. He's just very, 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 very aware of things and knows things. And you just got to trust him to play without fouling. So everybody says, well, what if they foul out when you play them with 4? Well, what if they don't, like you did last night?
Exactly.
So you got to kind of roll with them, and the numbers and analytics say to play them with fouls. We played Javonte a huge stretch in the first half when he had 2 fouls. We had him on the court for about 5 minutes in the first half with 2 fouls, which was big and allowed us to kind of get through that half as well. So, our guys made some plays, and it was a good team win for us.
TV's caught a great shot of you huddled up with your coaching staff in that last time out, talking to the staff, telling them, and they caught you saying, I want Nas. And when Trey and Nas ran that pick and pop where Nas was at the 3-point line, Trey sucked up the defense, shot it right back to him, and he hits the 3-pointer for what was eventually the game winner. That pick and roll between those two, the chemistry that they've developed over the last couple of weeks, it seems like it's almost an unguardable set for you right now.
It's been good. I mean, Nas is hitting the 3, so if you put 2 on Trey, we can pop it back to him. And, Trey's been attacking downhill and done a great job. His finishing in the paint's been a lot better, and he's really done a nice job getting downhill and playing in the seams, which is what we need to do. And so I was very, very pleased with those guys last night. And I thought our execution down the stretch was a lot better. We executed a couple things down the stretch. We're able to make plays and do enough to win.
Yeah, and Coach, so it was a bit of a sloppy first half, but something that you always highlight and you always talk about, you talk about the 6-minute game and how ultimately that's going to decide what kind of team you are. And so in a game in which, like, overall there's 17 turnovers, 11 in the first half, but in those final 6 minutes, just 1 turnover. shot over 50% from the field, 6 of 11, 6 rebounds. What did something click? Like, what changed? How did the team manage to raise its level of play when it had to?
Well, we had talked about that. I thought that's what let us down in the Arkansas game. We weren't solid in the 6-minute game. We weren't solid on defense. We didn't value the ball on offense. We had too many turnovers, obviously. So we just had to get back to our formula, our identity, especially in those 6-minute games, and do what we do, execute what we do. We kind of got away from ourselves a little bit earlier, and we had to get back to being ourselves and get back to doing what we do, which we did a lot better last night.
One of the stats that was all over the television broadcast last night, and I'm looking at right here on the computer screen, y'all are currently 5th in the nation in offensive rebounding percentage, 36.5% of the time when a shot goes up from your team, your guys are bringing it back down. How do you train for that? How do you get your team to be so aggressive on that offensive glass?
We work on it daily. I had a team almost got 40% of our misses.
Damn.
We were really, really good, and that was in league when we were in the Atlantic 10. But we spend a lot of time on it. I thought we took good shots last night. We didn't bombard a bunch of threes last night. We hadn't been shooting a great three. We are a great shooting team for three, and we're going to get back to making them. But for right now, we did a great job. And I told our guys, that's what frustrates me so much about the turnovers. I tell them all the time, just shoot the thing before we turn it over. Just put it on the backboard. Just shoot it before we turn it over. We'd just do that. We'd be fine. Instead of doing all this fancy stuff, just get it on the backboard so we can go get it. I mean, that's just like an assist. I mean, we're getting basically 4 out of every 10 of our misses. And so just put it up there on the backboard and let our guys go snatch the ball. But I mean, there's a little bit of technique involved. We work on the technique. I mean, I'd say 25% of it's technique, 75% of it's just want to and continuing to go. And it helps when we're a little bit bigger. We got Marlon in there who can go in and get some at the 3, and obviously our bigs do a great job. Cavell does a good job, and Nas had a big tip in there. We work on controlled tips. So those guys make plays, and those guys are able to make plays around the rim. But that's certainly a big part of our offense, especially right now, the way we've been shooting the ball.
For sure. 8-1 in conference play right now. You're halfway through this thing in the SEC. Quick turnaround Saturday. Auburn coming in. Give me the challenge that the Tigers pose to you.
They're so good. Harper at guard, so good, and Bryce Brown. I was watching film on the plane last night. I was not a great way to celebrate, but Coach Pearl's got him playing extremely hard, extremely well. Samir Dowdy, he played for me at VCU. He transferred to Auburn after I left. He's a great player. McLemore, they got Wiley back. So if we turn the ball over, it's going to be a long night. We cannot turn the ball over. They convert turnovers into threes quicker than anybody I've ever seen. They're tremendous on the offensive glass. We're going to have to be able to box them out and keep them off the glass and not give them second and third opportunities. So they're a tremendous team. They're playing really, really well right now. They just beat Florida and Alabama back to back. They're on a streak here after they got started a little bit slow, but there's a reason. They won the SEC last year. They returned a majority of their team that won the SEC last year. We went into their place last year and just got clobbered. And it'll be a very, very, very tough game, and one that we've got to prepare for really well today and tomorrow, and get ready to go early on Saturday. So should be fun.
Will Wade, LSU men's basketball coach, joining us here, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, ESPN New Orleans, ESPN Alexandria. Every time you speak about Skylar Mays, it's always evident how much you trust him. He played 40 minutes last night as far as his minutes distribution went. How do you coach him in a phase like he is offensively right now? He's 3 for 3 from the line last night, only 2 for 6 from the field, and 0 for 3 from behind the arc. How do you coach him when he's in this phase?
Yeah, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. You just, tell him to keep trusting his work. I didn't think that last night was the first night he didn't really shoot it like he should. I mean, he was pulling the string a little bit last night on his shot. So last night was the first night he didn't shoot it, shoot it like he should have. But we'll get back and work, and he'll be fine. Everything goes in stages, and this will pass, and he'll bang. He's got a lot of makes built up, so it'll be good. He's got a lot of makes built up. He'll be able to knock him in here as we move forward.
Coach, what did you tell your team at halftime after that end of half sequence where, like, out of nowhere, a 2-point lead becomes an 8-point lead?
You wouldn't have wanted to been in there at halftime. That's as mad as I've been all year at halftime. That's as mad as I've been all year. I mean, we just made terrible. I thought we'd lost the game at the end of the half where we helped off Holman and gave Carter the open three, and then we didn't have our hand up on Witherspoon. I'm like, what else was Witherspoon going to do? Everybody in the gym knew he was going to shoot it.
Right.
And so I thought we'd kind of. I was irate. I almost fainted. I was so mad.
Did you dance in the post game? Did you dance post game?
No, we didn't. We didn't dance. I mean, that was a business-like win. We had to get that. Our backs were against the wall a little bit. We had to find a way to get that. And we've got such a good team coming up with Auburn. There was no time to exhale. There's zero time to exhale. We've got to get to work and get ready for Auburn and find a way to dig this one out, hopefully in a similar fashion.
All good with Darius Days? Everything good with him?
Yeah. He's fine. It was just what I said earlier. It's one of those games where we had to play bigger.
Yeah.
Like we have to play bigger, and you know, we got to have guys out there who could move their feet a little bit better on ball screens, and that's why we went with Cavell. And I thought Daz did a good job, and you know, Darius is gonna have good games for us, but last night just won one of those.
Look out! Here come the Tigers. LSU right now 18-4 in conference or overall right now 8-1 in conference play. SEC matchup against Auburn on Saturday. Get your ticks right now at lsutix.net. Still available for the 1 o'clock tip-off. Should be a rowdy environment between two of the most athletic teams in the SEC. Big win for Will Wade and the LSU basketball team last night. Kind enough with a couple of minutes this morning. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Always.
All right, Coach, you too.
Will Wade in here on this Thursday. We'll be back. Booger McFarland next on OTB.